Hello, Stephen Cruz here with MyMortgageBroker.com and Paragon Mortgages. Today, I want to talk about budgeting. Budgeting sucks, I have to say. I do agree. Budgeting sucks. So I think people should stop budgeting. And I work with lots of clients who are homeowners, clients who are, minimum wage, who earn minimum wage, clients who earn a lot of income. And the common theme that I've noticed with many of these clients is that they hate budgeting. And I have a solution that has helped them to stop living paycheck to paycheck. And so that's what I'm going to talk about today. So before I do that, if you really like the information that I provide on my channel, then please subscribe below, press the little subscribe button. And if you like the information, then press the like button and I will send you more and more awesome information. So let me just look at or share my screen and we can talk about budgeting. All right, this is going to be fun. Budgeting sucks. And I have to say, stop budgeting. Living paycheck to paycheck sucks. And so what I want to do is give you just a strategy, really, to stop doing it. Stop living paycheck to paycheck, something that's fairly easy to do and will help you to start building up some net worth, some savings. Now, if you have a goal of saving for a down payment of your house or saving for a vacation or holidays, if you have other goals, that's really important to have, because if you don't have a goal, doing this just is not gonna, it's just not gonna do it. It really isn't. But if the first thing you have to do is set a goal. I don't have that on here. I'll talk about that in other videos or whatever, but the first most important thing is for you to have a goal. And whether it's getting out of debt or having a vacation, usually fun goals are better than, getting out of debt kind of goals. That's no fun. But if you have going on a trip to Hawaii or on a nice holiday somewhere, that's much more fun. So there's four steps of implementing this program I have. And first of all, there is a little bit of work. So you have to get a baseline. You gotta know where your money is, what you're spending your money on, and how much you are spending. Next, you want to really understand where your spending is going. And I'm going to talk about active and passive spending. Then we make a plan, and then you implement your plan. So let's talk about the baseline first. So the best way to get a baseline, a lot of people would say, well, look at what your expenses are, track expenses for the next month or whatever. I think, you know what, just do it right now. Go and look at your last month's worth of bank statements or the last 2 months or 3 months. Go and look at old statements, the most recently old statements, and look at your credit card, your bank statements. Look at all of those and track, write down every one of your expenses. If you took out $100 from the bank for whatever reason, take out $100 and then try to remember what you did that for. But track all of that stuff. So you're going to summarize all of those things. I have a tool that I can send you that helps you to figure out and categorize those. So if you go to my website, mymortgagebroker.com/about-us, and on the bottom left-hand side, you can put your name and email in, and in the comments, type "stop budgeting," and I'll know what you mean, and I will send you a little tool, a PDF, that helps you to categorize and track what all of your expenses are. Sometimes we forget, and it has little categories, little examples, and so it'll help you to figure out where all your money is going. So after that, what you want to do is understand what you're spending your money on. So there's two kinds of spending. There's what I call active spending or active expenses, and passive spending or passive expenses. So the active expenses are those expenses that you get to decide on every single day. So when you're buying groceries, you go up and down the aisles, you've got a list, you know what you're buying. There's all of these great things at grocery stores on the end of the aisles. They're trying to promote this, that, and the other. So they're really encouraging you to buy extra stuff. This is when you kind of have to be, diligent. You could wildly spend. If you go to the grocery store and you're hungry, or if you're thirsty, you end up buying more stuff than you would normally buy if you're not hungry or thirsty. And so it's like eating out and buying clothes, travel, vacation, hobbies, pets, entertainment, charities, subscriptions, gifts, any kind of daily cost, something you're actively spending your money on. So for example, if you're driving back from work, you had a bad day at work, and you decided to stop in and grab a beer, grab some beers from the liquor store or whatever, that is a decision, a choice, and you're making you're making a purchase based upon a choice. So you have the choice to do that or not to do that. You wouldn't drive down the street after having a bad day and go and fill up your car with gas to make you feel better. That's not going to happen. So filling up your car with gas is more of a passive expense. Passive expenses are those expenses where they're coming out of your bank account on a regular basis, like rent or a mortgage payment or car loan or lease payment, utility bills, cell phone bills, cable, internet, insurance costs, any debt, childcare, and some of your other things like fitness costs, that sort of thing. If you're charities are a passive expense. So passive expenses, you don't really get charged by spending money on those things. The active expenses are those expenses that you do, and sometimes they become a habit. So it's important to recognize that you have a choice and recognize the habits you have. So, going down, grabbing a coffee every single morning on the way to work and buying at your local coffee shop is a habit. It was a choice initially. Now it's a habit. Could be a bad habit, could be a good habit. You could just make the coffee at home. So understanding what you're spending your money on and looking through what your baseline was is step number 2. So step number 3, analyze your data. So now that you've looked at this, now that you understand passive and active, now you categorize those. Put all the active expenses into one category, put all the passive expenses in the other category, and see what percentages of your net income are going towards the different expenses. So when I say net income, it's important for you to recognize your net income after all of the money's taken off. So what goes into your bank account, not what you declare to the government, not including the taxes. It's after taxes, after deductions. So calculate what that net income is, and then calculate what percentage of your passive and active expenses are on that net income. And so when people do that, I usually get one of 2 results. One result is, whoa, I'm spending more than I make. And that's why you got so many credit card bills. The next one is, why is there money left over? I never have money left over at the end of the month. So why does this show me there's money left over? And that's because you've got all these habits, and there's so many chances for us to spend money on all sorts of different things every day with this little card. Place our card down, press tap, or just spend with a credit card. You don't really know what's going out. It's just going. And so keeping track of that is one of the biggest steps in really and truly recognizing and understanding what you're spending your money on, and getting away from that paycheck to paycheck lifestyle that some people are living. So if you're spending too much, that's when you got to look and see what you're spending too much on. One of my clients, when I did this analysis with her, we went through everything, and she was spending almost $2,000 a month on vitamins. And she didn't realize it was spending that much money on the vitamins. She thought she was spending quite a bit. But we looked at that. She decided, it's not up to me, it's up to her. She decided that she was going to cut back on those vitamin costs. And that really helped her out. Eating out a lot, that really eats up cash. You can have a treat, eat out once a week, or eat out once a month, or eat out once every 2 weeks, or whatever frequency you want. But you don't necessarily have to eat out every single day, because that is a lot more expensive than bringing and cooking your own food at home, or bringing a lunch to work or whatever. Parking costs sometimes can be ridiculous. I had a client who's paying over $600 a month in parking. So you know what? That was a luxury. They weren't happy driving to work. They weren't happy driving home. And so why not just take the bus? They decided to take the transit, and bought a transit pass, so much less, and now they have substantially less. They could save a little bit extra money. Some hobbies, maybe cut back a little bit on some of your hobbies, cut back in the costs if that's something that you need to do to bring your spending under your natural income amount, because you want to make sure you're not spending more than your net income. That is not feasible on a long-term basis. Other things you can reduce are entertainment costs. So going out once every 2 weeks to the movies or something instead of once every week, going out to the bar or whatever less. Another option that I often look at for clients is to reduce their payments, your mortgage payments and credit card payments and loan payments. Sometimes you've got these loans that have ridiculously high payments with very small balances. So I know it's going to be paid off really soon, but it's causing you grief with all of your other costs. So we can roll those together, unify some of that stuff into one smaller payment. It helps to free things up and helps you to get back on track again. Sometimes phone, cable, internet, utility bills, you can really reduce your costs by talking to those providers. Just the other day, I pay for cell phone. I pay for internet, TV, and a home phone, and I was paying over $200 a month for those three things, and we never use our home phone. So I decided to cancel the home phone, and I could cancel the home phone and get a better internet package, a better cell phone, or sorry, not cell phone, but TV package, and it was less. It was like $100 a month. So that saved me $100 a month just because I made the phone call, and I hadn't been thinking about it for a while, and so I now put in my calendar to renew and review it every single year so that I can look and see what kind of options there are and what I can do to keep an eye on those costs. I had looked at my cell phone bill earlier, and I reduced the cell phone bill a little bit by nudging a couple of expenses and a couple of things we were going over in data. So I changed that a little bit. The other thing I also encourage you to do, and I haven't put the reminder in, but I'm going to do that for myself, is your gas bill or your heating bill. Sometimes your heating bill is on a monthly cost, and sometimes you can buy a flat rate. And I was on a monthly cost over the summer, and I changed it over to a flat rate, and the cost was substantially less. So I locked in at a much better price than I was paying because I was paying monthly. So it was a substantial savings. I can't remember exactly what it was now, but that's something else you can look at to reduce those costs, especially if you're spending more than what you're making. All right. So the other thing people do is they say, "Whoa, I've got money left over. Where does it go?" And I have so many clients who do that. The last clients, I have another video about this, and the last clients, we found over $1,600 for them in extra costs that were just disappearing. They did not know where they went. And so we went through the little plan, got their baseline, we showed them and implemented the strategy, and they were able to save now $1,600 and more, actually, because of what we did, but more than $1,600 every single month. And that helps them to pay off their mortgage faster, pay down their debt, and get right on track and feeling so much better. The stress relief that I saw when we did this was incredible. I could not believe how light they were and how light, it seemed like a burden came off of their shoulders. So it was really good to do that. And a lot of the times we have this unconscious spending. So there's money, we just feel like, oh, I'm going to go grab a muffin, or I'm going to go get a coffee, or I'm going to go have lunch, or I'm going to go get another muffin. And after a while, these bad habits of buying this, buying that, buying this is just spending away cash that we could be using for something fun, like a holiday or doing something else. So that is really important, to become aware of your active spending and know what you're doing. And then you can really get past the living paycheck to paycheck idea. All right, so next step is make a plan. Make a plan. And this isn't a budget system. This is not a budget, but it is an allowance. And so what you do is once you've done the baseline, once you know what your expenses are, you're going to look at your active expenses, and you're going to set an allowance on a weekly basis. It does not matter how often you get paid, whether it's monthly or whether it's biweekly or whether it's semi-monthly, whatever payment frequency you are getting your earnings from, you're going to set up a weekly allowance from whatever day you choose, Saturday to Friday or Sunday to Saturday, either or, whatever you want. And you're going to take 25%, no more than 25%, no less than 20% of your net income, and you're going to give that to yourself as an allowance in cash. So you're going to give yourself 20 to 25% of your net income as an allowance for you to spend on all of those active expenses, all of them. So if you buy groceries, you go out and this and that, and on Thursday you have no money left, you're not spending any money now until the next week, when your week starts again, whether Saturday or Sunday or whatever you choose. And what you'll find is the first couple of weeks, it could be tough, but after a while, you will feel the freedom, because now you have the choice. Now it's in your hands. Now you can look in your wallet. You see how much money you have, how much money you got left. You're budgeting, but you're not really. It's kind of more of a visual clue as to what you can and can't do. If you're planning to go to the movies and you know it's going to cost $30 or whatever to go to movies with your girl or your guy or whatever, then make sure you're leaving yourself $30 in your wallet for when you plan to go to the movies that week. And so the plan is not a budget. It's not a budget. You get to choose, and that's the biggest part of it. You choose. It's your active expenses. You choose. You want to buy a gift for your girl or your guy. That's your choice, and be happy with it, because you've got this much money to spend every single week. And if you can't buy it this week, buy it next week. If you have to hold some over, you can do that too, but you get to choose. All right. So then we implement the plan. And the best way, as I suggested in the last video, best way is with cash. Implement the plan with cash. Take out that 20 to 25% of your net income on a weekly basis. And the caution, I did not say this the last time. Let me just go back here. The caution is really important. Do not look to see how much your passive income, your passive expenses are. Watch your passive expenses. Oops, I should say expenses. Watch your passive expenses, because they should not exceed 75% if you're doing 25% for active. It should not exceed 80% if you're doing 20% active. What I encourage you to make sure, and I usually do this with clients, is to make sure their expenses, that should say expenses, passive expenses, do not exceed their these numbers, so they're not over 100. Okay. So you implement with cash. So now you know your cash is here to spend. You can spend it on whatever, your groceries, your this, your that, everything you want to spend it on. And you can keep track of it visually, because you see the money in your wallet. You see it disappearing. You see yourself spending it. And then when you go for a coffee first thing in the morning, you decide, do I want to spend this on this coffee, or do I want to save it to go out on the weekend? And you can make those choices. Now it's more top of mind, and it's easier to get into the flow, and it really helps you to understand the flow more, which is so important. Your cash flow is really important, in understanding it and feeling it and knowing what it feels like, rather than a card with just flap, 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 and it's easy to get rid of. This cash is physical, and you see it, you feel it, you know it. And it's so important. And so if you run out of cash, like I said, running out of cash, it's done. No more spending till the next week. Now, sometimes emergency come up. That happens. And usually with clients, we put a little bit of money in their emergency fund, and they can do that. But rarely, and the emergencies usually come up in the first couple of weeks, and after they get used to everything, and after 3 months, they're like, whew. And then after 3 months, that's when you can go back to using a debit card if you want, or credit cards if you want. But doing 1 to 3 months, really 3 months is the best, of cash only is the key for you to really understand and feel the flow. And so I have some tools. Like I said, you can go to mymortgagebroker.com/about us, and in there, just type in "stop budgeting," and then I will send you the tool that helps you to understand how that goes. On my website, you just select "about us." On the bottom left-hand side, there's a little form. Put in your name and email, and stop budgeting. So hopefully that helps. If you like this video, please press subscribe in the box below. And if you really like the info, press the like button and comment. Give us a comments about what you thought about my stop budgeting, get off of the paycheck to paycheck plan. And I'd love to hear your comments. I enjoy reading comments, and I'm happy to help if you have any questions or want to know more about that. So you can find me at mymortgagebroker.com. And until then, thank you and have a great day.